Welcome to Yeshiva Daf to learn Yishbas Chaim HaKashom Labasitzchok. We're learning today Basra. That's like Ches. We're starting to take Zang with base and the Mishnah in the bottom. Zog the Mishnah. Hamoicher yayin lechaveru v'yichritz. Someone sells a barrel of wine to his friend, and it becomes sour. It goes sour because it turns into vinegar. Einu chay b'achirus. He's not responsible. Why is he not responsible? Because he says, he bought it. But if this guy always, in other words, he has a problem with his wine, it causes the wine to get sour. So it's not something that happened only to me, and then it happens to everybody who buys it for you. You have a problem with your wine.
Everybody knows about it. It's it's not.
So it wasn't Yadua, and we'll see. We're talking about, as the Gemara is going to say, we spoke about the mikpo. He said clearly I need it for a long time, so that's why it's a vekatos. If he says I need to do a good smelly wine that stays for a respectful amount of time, it needs to be there until Shavuos. But later you get to the summer and the summer ruins it. The Yoshon, if he says I'm giving you an old wine, so that means Mishalesh Takot. It means it's last year's wine and it'll last until this year. Umi Yushon, if he said the word Mishushan, so that means Mishal Gimel Shonim, in other words, the year before the last year. Right now it's the third year. Okay? So it says the one. Talk about the seller sold the wine to the buyer. And the buyer took the wine, put it in his own barrels. But it's still the barrels of the seller. He says, your wine and your barrels, there's no excuse. Because my barrels, maybe my barrels are not good, but it's your barrels. So it says something more. So I don't understand. Even if it's the barrels of the seller did not have to. Why did the buyer keep it in the barrels? It should empty it out. Barrels are bad. Why do you keep it there? So we talk here that he told the seller, I want this. I mean, he had to keep, I said it wrong. Let's tell sure, why do you leave for such a long time? In other words, the seller could say, I thought you needed it for the wedding. That's happening tonight. For the wedding, it was okay. 2 weeks later, I was spoiled. I didn't know you needed it for another 2 weeks. So then when he said the mikvah, he said clearly I need it for mikvah, as we saw in Shabbos stuff, using it for meal, to put it in a salad, and you use it for a very long time, and for all the time you use it for cooking. So why do you say, do we talk about the barrels of the buyer? And he said the mikvah, and that's the case. Say it's the seller's barrels, and he did not tell him the mikvah. Like, why do you have to push me to say, we talk about the kakay de lokach, and he said lemikpo, and therefore he's not chayav, but if it would be kakay de moicher, it would be chayav. Say we talk about kakay de moicher, he didn't say lemikpo, and therefore he's chayav. Therefore he's part of chayav. Amaro masiz keshisi. So that's part of the Mishnah. The ktanim yadua sheyeinu imachmitz aretz mekatos. Known to everybody, tzir imachmitz is mekatos. Am I? Leimelei lo yibay l'shuyei. On that part of the Mishnah, the problem. Why did you keep it for such a long time? Yeah, because my wine because vinegar. It takes a month. We're talking about that he did say he needed it for a longer period of time. Shvami knows. So that's why our Mishnah talk about a mikvah. So you have to say we talk about the karkanim shel l'kach. So this Gemara understands if it's the barrels of the seller. If he clarified that he doesn't want it for short time, wants it for a long time, the seller's responsible. Something more, please go to Avchei Bar Yosef. Doma Avchei Bar Yosef, Chamro, Mazolo, the Chamare Gorim. The wine depends on the mazel of the owner. Shenemar Vav ki hayayin buged gever yoyer. The yain betrays the owner who's a gever yoyer, who's a balgaiva. Meaning, you know when wine gets spoiled? If the owner is not deserving. Depends on the owner. So therefore, the second to the buyer, if it would stay by me, nothing would happen. But it went to you, and it got spoiled because of you. Not my responsibility anymore. And the word goes on now, and dashes this passage regarding a Balgai. Omar Mari Mandi Yorson was a Balgai Vafilo she based on Mikaba. He's not accepted even by his wife. Interesting. I would say even by his wife. Wife is the first one, doesn't accept any, even if he's not Balgai. Shenema Gever Yoyer Lo Yinve. The Balgai won't Yinve. My Velo Yinve, but Nova Shalom. Nova Shalom in his house means in his wife. He wears a clothing tabachachim, as we learned earlier, that it goes on till the bottom, covers the big tznius, but he's not tabachachim. They don't allow him going in the Mechitza. He's a Balgai. So the Neve Kochecho means the place of Kodesh Baruch Hu. He's not able to go in there. Okay, so we have drashas here regarding Balgai. Now what's the case over here? He gives a barrel of wine to a grocer in order for him to sell it. The way the Rashbam explains it, they're basically here doing a deal of machti socher. Basically, he says, you know what? I'll sell, you sell for me, and we'll split the profits. So the owner of the wine is still the owner. He didn't give up on the ownership. He's still the owner. He's a partner over here. So he gave it to the chanua al menat adaito lizbuye, which means in order for him to sell it and to make some money out of it, right? He's nosav the money. The tokif apalgo or atiltu. As he's selling it, halfway through, it gets spoiled. Or a third way through, it gets spoiled. Dinu de mekabel amine. So you tell him, so the owner needs to take care of it. Right? Look at the Rashbam. Maybe we'll just see two Rashbams over here. Hayman de mazbe chavis to the cham l'chidmon is mamash in the middle of the wide lines. So the line starts with the words de chamru l'chidmoni. So over there, moiser chavis sheloi l'chidmoni. He's going to sell it, he's going to make a profit. So the Ma'abai doesn't get the money only after the grocer gets the money from the buyers. The wine stays in the hands of the owner, the original owner. The chedmoni is only a shliach. If he gets spoiled in the middle, you know what the Mekara is called a hefset. So the owner is responsible. He didn't do anything wrong. Now, what about the fact that we said before that the wine betrays the owner? Who's the owner over here? The owner is the original owner. So that's not only if the grocer did not change the spigot. He didn't do any change to it. He changed the spigot because maybe that's what caused the thing to go bad. Didn't come days of the market to sell it. He did not sell it then. Why did you wait so long? Should have sold it then. Lefarvaso de val shofot. We have a similar thing in Mesechet Bometzio, and there it's called Zul Shofot. That was a big market of wines. They sold wines over there. So he was accepting the thing in order to go to this place Zul Shofot. The Adamati Osom Zal, until he gets there, the price of the wine went down. Dinu de mekabel le. Right? So then he was responsible. Who's responsible? The owner of the wine. Why? Because that it's considered still to be in the hands of the owner, as Rashbam points out. Your responsibility is to bring it to Zul Shafat. He didn't get the Zul Shafat, it's still in the hands of the owner. So before you get the Zul Shafat, they decrease the value. So he says, I can't sell anymore, it won't make any sense. So he goes back to the owner. Says the Gemara, what happens if it turned to be vinegar? If it turned vinegar not. Why? Um, okay. Let's see here the Rashi. Just two Rashbam over here. Two Rashbams here in the bottom. First of all, Dinu the Bekabel, what we said before. Balayayin is kolazor. Kevin the Afilim Moikir Miyad Loyal Rishus the Mocher. Shemegel for Avos the Valshafot. He's not able to sell before. Then Zulna Rishus the Balayayin. We'll get big near Aved Rishus the Mekabel Namikai. That is there. But if you turn to Chalul, so Rashbam, next Rashbam. Mikamei de Antilo, so my Mikabel Balayayin Kolahefset. Da Afilu Gavim Mechiru Gumuru Mikabel Shalom Lelokeach Hachamrov Vakarkonov. Hey, the right? If he told him clearly I needed to do for a long time, so he's responsible. He didn't sell completely. He told him to go to a different place. Of course, it's his responsibility. That's all it's at. It's only half. Now he got spoiled. Do I say, okay, so we're both owners? We're splitting the profits. So what's the difference between this and the previous case? The previous case wasn't a split, as the Rashbam pointed out. He just paid him schar tirchoi. He worked it, so he got paid for compensating. He gave him like a little fee. But here they're splitting it. So okay, so you're also an owner. Says the Gemara. That's also, in other words, it's half and half. And that is not like a Beis V'Chanino that he said you don't go based on Mazel. Right? That was the beginning of the Gemara. You go based. It depends who owns the barrel. It means you don't go based on Mazel, and that's it. That's how it works. And the Rashbam Lishitosah learns in the Gemara 2 blocks ago by Shmuel said also the idea of Mazel. So if I two mandorim with Mazel, and therefore we pass an aloha this way. Here's the one that says Yosham Mishal Shtakod. It says old wine is from last year. And if it's a miyushon, it's from 2 years ago. It says the Gemara, Tami miyashin oelech hadachak. What does it mean miyashin? In other words, when I say that it has to be miyushon, it means it's not going to be miyushon until the 3rd year and until the middle of the 3rd year. It has to finish the 3rd year. It has to get until Sukkot of that year. In other words, it should last the entire summer. So the Mishnah. Someone sells a place for his friend. Someone accepts to do something in his friend's place. To do what? He wants to build a house, a wedding home for his son, and a beis almanos for his daughter. Now, the Rashbam says there's something very important we have to understand for the Gemaras, and that's throughout Shas. In those days, when a son got married, he stayed in the house, and the Kala came to live in the house of the Shviger. And when the daughter left, she went to the other house. Now, what's the reason? The Rashbam, as we're going to see in the Gemara in a moment, because it's not right for a son-in-law to live with his mother-in-law. So therefore, the son always lives with his father. So that's why the Mishnah says this thing. It says, if you build a base chastus to know, for his son is building they used to build a small house for the son and the new daughter-in-law to live. And based on the daughter leaves the house. When she comes back, when she becomes an almana. If she lost her husband, then she comes back. Then he builds a special house for her. So the Mishnah says these two cases. It should be 4 amas by 6. That's a place for animals. Haret Salat says we have a boker. Someone wants to do Revis boker. Put it down, Namas al Shesh. The Gemara is going to say who said this line of the Mishnah. Bais kotot sheyesh al ches godol. When a person says Bais kotot, it's sheyesh al ches. That's 6 by 8. Godol ches alasa. That's 8 by 10. Traklin, which is a bigger place, which is open. So then that is Yudel Yud. It's 10 by 10. Rumoy, the height, the height of the house needs to be the size of half length, half weight. What do we see? Something similar to that. You can see by the Eichel. Because the Eichel was, what's the size of the Eichel? As the Rashbam brings over here, it was 40 by 20. So 40 plus 20 is what? 60. Split into 2 is 30. The height of the Eichel was 30. Okay. Says the Gemara says we just mentioned. Why by the son you say a wedding house, and by the daughter you say a widow's house. You say both for both. It's not right for a son-in-law to live in the house of his father-in-law. Why? Because of his znus with either his znus with the mother-in-law, or they're going to steal the money. Ben Siro was a chacham who wrote a sefer which was not included in the Tanakh. Hakol shakati bekavos naim. I weighed everything in a scale. I couldn't find lighter misubin. Subin is raw. It's bran, right? Unsieved wheat. The kal misubin. You know what's lighter than subin? Choson hadar bebeis chomiv. A son-in-law lives in the house of his father-in-law, that's lighter. It's like very low. The kal michos, you know what's worse than that? Chos oirech v'chris oirech. A guest means another guest. That's even worse. The kal oirech meishi dover b'tei mishpat. Even worse than that is someone who answers before he hears the whole sentence. Shah meishi dover b'tei mishma ivel siloi v'klimo. Someone who answers before he hears the whole thing is considered to be that he is a fool. Okay, so we said, so we're talking about 4x6, it's a Refes Bakar, it's an animal place. And then the Mishnah says that when someone wants to do a Refes Bakar, do is 4x6. So the more Refes Bakar Maktana, who's the one who says it? Some say Rabbi Shmuel, who said the question, he said it. Some say Rabbi Kiva said it. Even though you're right, 4x6 is the size of an animal born. Yeah, Kiva's like, I was okay with that. Says some person build a small room, it's 4x6, high animals have the same size. Yeah, it's okay. That's Rabbi Shmuel, part of Shmuel's sentence. That's continuing the question. Shmuel says, Rabbi Kiva, what do you mean 4x6? 4x6 is the size of an animal born. Here, if a person wants to do Refes Bakar, it's 4x6. Now here, just to point out, the big question that we shouldn't even bother by, what are you talking about? All over shots we learned, what's the size of a house? Arba al-arba, 4x4. And he was saying 4x6 is not good enough? So the simple answer is 4x4 is the minimum home. But it's still very uncomfortable to live there. When a person buys from somebody to build a house, not building Arba al-arba. Arba al-arba is tiny. But it's okay to be niche of a house, to put an eruv in it. It's good enough, but it's not ideal, and that's what we talk about in a sale. So what's attracting you? What's attracting kufto beivarti. So it's an open space that has nice flowers. Why it's called a kuba? The Rashbam says because it's kuba shel zoynus. Because that's what zoynus do. They stay in an open space so people will come. Tani the kantir. What is kantir? Shtemesah. That's the size of kantir. My kantir, tar b'tzafani. What's a tar b'tzafani? So Rashbam says it's a big courtyard you do next to the garden. Who says the Ra'al Dover? So Shmuel says it. Barakah. Ra'al Dover minayin. And the Mishnah says the height of the place should be half the length and half the width. Where do we know our right from there? Shmuel says, here, you want to find a raya? Here's my raya. The Binyan Beis Hamidrash. Tanakam is the one who says it. Tanakam is the one who says you have the height is half the length and half the width, and you learn from the Eichel. So comes Shimon Gamliel and says, "Rai minayin bin Eichel, atu kuli almo kivin Eichel havdi." In other words, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel that says kivin Eichel is he saying is a statement? Oh yeah, you want to see a place where the height is the half of the length, half the width, kivin Eichel. Or it's not a statement. It's a question. It says, why? Bin Eichel? Bin Eichel was like that. Doesn't mean everything else will be that way. Okay. says the Gemara. Says the Gemara. One more paragraph over here. The height should be like the beams that go on the width of the building. So why don't you just say that the height should be the size of the width? If I say more beso mi lo yirovach, if I say mishudiyiko bekafi, there's two reasons why. Either because there is the house, the way they used to build walls those days, the walls are not a straight line. The walls with a little angle will be wider on the bottom and narrower on the top. So if I say the size of the width, I don't know if the width in the bottom or width in the top. That's why I said the kohen was just at the top. Or another reason is because you're talking about regarding bekavi, which is where the beams go into. In other words, if I tell you the width is only from wall to wall. I want to tell you there's a little more than that. It's the size of the beam. The beam is from wall to wall plus a little bit more where it sticks into the wall. Okay, so we'll stop over here. Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we'll have a very interesting daf regarding the heichal and how did it look like and where was the Aron. Now Be'ez Hashem we'll see tomorrow.